Joining me on the show, on the Draw Weight Show today, this fine morning, Mr. Kev Young from the Asham, Manitoba Junior Curling Tour. Good morning, Kevin. How has the day's been? Pretty busy for you this far?
Absolutely, Theo. Good morning to you and to the good folks out there listening.
Absolutely. So let's talk tour things matters first. The scores are settled. The placements are there. The top 10 are in. Congratulations to those 20 teams, males and females. We now have one more championship event at the end of November, which will be here on ASTV as well, the 29th, 30th, and 1st of November at the Assiniboine Curling Club. Let's talk about last weekend, and it's the Kyle Flett Memorial, correct?
Correct. Yes, it was.
And that was in Petersfield. Great job done by the Petersfield crew and the curling members there in Petersfield. Small towns that love their curling and love taking care of their talent on the ice. I heard it was great ice surfaces for the conditions for some great curling action.
Not only was it great ice, it really was, just to kind of add to what you had suggested. Those small towns, Petersfield, Toulon, whoever it may be that MJCT goes, or Asham MJCT now, pardon me. You know what? Quite frankly, those people, I mean, they look forward to hosting this event on an annual basis, and they put their heart and soul into it. Everything from just the friendly smiles that you get to the kind conversations, the work that's done on the ice before and after a draw, and the good food of folks on the concession, and maybe even those two on the bar, because there's a few folks take advantage of that area as well. So yeah, it's outstanding. In Petersfield.
Awesome. So we have a couple winners, obviously from the tournament. Breaking it down, Team Walter for the men, sneaking in the final there, winning, as well as Team Grey Withers for the females, leapfrogging everybody and getting that first place spot going into the championship. Tell us about both their teams and how they were able to, show their prowess on the ice this past weekend.
Well, you know what? Team Walter, first we'll start with the junior men. Team Walter kind of seemed to be on a mission this weekend. They were only curling with 3 curlers. And yet they just did an outstanding job. I think they came out of they had to play a quarterfinal game. Then they met my team, Team Johnson, in the semifinals, and we were tied up, halfway. But they just made a couple of amazing shots, and they took a 3, which made it 6-3 and 6. And you know what? There was just no coming back. So kudos to them. They went to the final. They played a great game, and they finished it off. Team Serena Grey Withers, you're absolutely right, because they were down in the standings a little bit. They've done a few extra events. They went to Alberta. They curled in Red Deer at an event there, and they curled in a couple of MCT events, Manitoba Curling Tour as well, I believe. So the truth be told, outstanding job by them to, finish off that spiel with a win. And yeah, like you said, leapfrog everybody to end up with 76.5 points, 3.5 points ahead of Team Davies.
Yeah.
So yeah, only I think, Theo, 7.5 points, I believe it is, separating the top 4 girls teams.
It is still very tight. The only thing that points matter now is the fact that they decide the seating and the arrangements at the end of the month. But other than that, you just got to bring your A game for these last couple of tune-up events if you're in them. And then you just got to play hard at Assiniboine at the end of the month, and someone's going to raise those trophies.
Well, and so there's a bit of a twist for the tour final too. Like the way it works is that you keep your original points, and you're right, it works for your seeding. However, then you score in the tour final double points. So 2 points for every win, and what would it be? Probably 42, I think, for the victory, and probably 30 for second place. So there's an opportunity for, in the men's, at least 8 or 9, I believe, of those teams to leapfrog forward, right, and end up being victorious in the points standings, and that has a bearing too, because there's a berth that comes from that. So You know what? It's a big deal. There's money involved. There's certainly the birth, and of course, being a champion on the MJCT tour. So
So you've corrected me here this big time, Kevin, because I thought the points were just zeroed out here. They carry forward, and it matters a great deal of how well you perform throughout the season into championship weekend, unlike the CFL or any other major sports where everything doesn't matter in the regular season and everything just matters in the playoffs.
right. So you know what? It's kind of a unique strategy, I believe, but one that served them well over the years. And I think, yeah, it means that you need to do reasonably well throughout the regular year, but ultimately, with double points, 2 points for every victory, and 42 for a win, you can come out with almost 50 points. So
Yeah.
I believe that in the girls, in the junior women's category, I'm pretty sure that means that all 10 teams could end up being victorious.
Yeah, I think it's like one of the things where, like, I think the bottom team has like 46 or something like that, or
Yeah.
around 40. And I mean, you look at Gray Wilders, Davies, Bergman, and Zacharias. I mean,
Yeah.
those four teams have been predominantly the stronger of the four. And add the other, the two women's teams that have the same last name. I forget them now. It'll come back to me in a second because as soon as we're done, I'll remember their names. But I mean, like you said, there's opportunity for teams to really bring it hard.
Yeah.
Hurry hard, hit the draw weights, and if you run that table, you're right, you could do some good damage. And now tell me, you said there's a berth as well into another tournament or another. What is
So the provincial,
okay?
which is the opportunity in Beausejour after this weekend. So not this, but next, there's a birth spiel in Beausejour. So a birth spiel provides in Beausejour 2 teams will come out of there with the opportunity to go to the provincial playdowns and potentially represent Manitoba.
Okay.
So all year round, I mean, the MJCT Tour is a collection of the best bond spills that are out and about and that have come together and created a venue, if you would, for teams to curl and get better and get ready for provincials. So MJCT is very important, don't get me wrong, but it's a stepping stone still. All right. Everybody still wants to come through there and get to provincials, represent the province, right? And potentially go for, and win nationals, right?
Yeah.
So that's the name of the game. And so there's certain events. There's been a couple already this year. One in Morris, one in Saint Vital that had births attached to them, and ultimately they those. So there are teams that already have births in the provincials already established. There are regional qualifiers that will happen as well after Beausejour. I believe Saint Vital is hosting a regional qualifier for Saint Vital, Saint Boniface area, probably the entire east side of the city. It could be even citywide.
Okay.
So there is the details are slow to come, but they're definitely coming.
Fabulous. So let's talk about Brandon going down this weekend. It's a bit of a unique event, how it involves teams not just from Manitoba, and it's a large group of teams taking over Brandon, Manitoba.
Yeah, you know what? There's Theo. There's 16 teams, junior men and junior women, and there are teams. So in the men's, there are 10 Manitoba teams, and in the women's, there are 10 Manitoba teams, and there are teams from North Dakota, Minnesota, Ontario, Northern Ontario, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. So there are some big teams. Actually, Team Johnson, our pool, the Brandon Sun Life Financial Junior Challenge Bonspiel, has the 2019 U.S. National Champion from Minnesota, Team Sinet.
Yeah.
And also the current Alberta Junior Curling Tour points leader, in Team Adams, just in our pool. So that's the kind of idea of some of the talent that is going to be there. It's because it's an invitational tournament. Obviously, it has the best of the best. So all our Manitoba teams that are representing us, men's or women, definitely some of the finest curling teams that are out there.
So there's going to be, would you consider this one of the more international invitationals that these teams would see during the course of a year? I mean, you're playing teams nationally, but also teams from the United States.
Yes, absolutely. We we do a Can-Am Bonspiel in North Dakota. It's an MJCT event that's held every September, and we've had teams from North Dakota and Minnesota in there, but we did not see Team Sinet there. Actually, Team Johnson won that event in this year, but this is probably the premier, international event that's out there. They bring in, like I said, it's an invite-only tournament or Bonspiel, and they bring the finest.
Yeah, no, that's a good. If it's not just playing more curling, it's also a pretty decent tune-up to try a lot of different things, perhaps, before getting into championship weekend too.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. It is an opportunity to hone your skills against some talent that, I mean, because really, with 21, 22 teams, I think we picked up another one in the junior men's curling here in Manitoba. You still end up playing a lot of teams repetitively.
Right.
So, the opportunity to play some new talent and try out your skills and your game strategy on people that don't know exactly what it is that you do allows you to play a bit of a different game too.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see the strategy that a lot of these teams bring. I mean, like you said, you when you play, a team 4, 5, 6 weekends in a row, it's like you kind of expect what they're going to do rather than playing a team, like you said, from Alberta, Northern Ontario, Minnesota, perhaps. They may have a different style, a different swing, potentially another tool in that bag of yours.
Yeah.
That you'd be looking like, okay,
yeah,
that kind of did some damage. Maybe that would be not expected if I saw at the end of November.
Yeah. You know what? That's exactly what it is. And the truth is, right? If you want to get better, you have to test yourself. You have to challenge yourself. You need to make sure that you put yourself out there and try different teams. Try different strategies. See how different teams act or react to what it is that you do or how you respond. Right. So that's all part of honing the skills and getting better.
So we have Brandon this weekend. We have a birth spiel the weekend after, you said, correct?
Correct. And Beausejour. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the weekend after is the granddad of them all, they would say, the championship weekend.
Yeah. Showtime.
Showtime. It's either to put up or shut up, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Well, Kevin, I look forward to chatting with you before the birth spiel to see who's going to be playing in that. And I'm curious to find out which teams take the weekend off rather than looking for, this last weekend as another tune-up weekend. So do we have final numbers for that birth spiel the following weekend, or are there still spots available?
Still spots available. Yeah. Well, the regional qualifiers still have to happen. So it's kind of a late November or December process. And it then recaps around the third week, I think, in December.
Awesome.
I will just say quickly before we go, the teams that aren't curling in the Brandon this weekend, a lot of them are curling in at the Pembina this weekend. There's a U18 curling event there, and most of our younger teams, I know a few teams that are definitely going to be there, and so they'll be testing and honing their skills there as well.
Shout out to the 2 Beaudry teams that are the female teams. I remember I would get that name. I didn't even have to look for it, but I just remember it was in the back of my tongue and it came to the front. So before we say goodbye, shout out to those teams as well. Still in the hunt, as is a lot of these teams. It's going to be very exciting. And of course, we'll have those games or most of those games for you on Amateur Sports TV at the Assiniboine Curling Club, November 29th, 30th, and December 1st. Kevin Young, it's always great to chat curling with you, and love to put the Ashram Junior Curling Tour, Manitoba Junior Curling Tour on display here before time is out.
Thank you very much, Theo. You know what? It's a pleasure to chat with you. Look forward to the next one.
Awesome. We'll see you next week, Kevin. Thank you. This is Draw Weight with Kevin Young.